Hi, my name is Jessica Ansaga, and this is Beyond Ministry. Today, I want to talk about the victim mentality. We're going to keep going in this series regarding the fivefold ministry of death, and I compared the victim mentality to being the evangelist. The evangelist is the light on the hill calling you in, and that is exactly what the victim mentality does. It is sitting as the light on the hill calling you, like, I see you. I can validate your pain. I understand. Come, let me comfort you, you poor thing. The thing about the victim mentality is it does not heal us. It does not free us. It comforts us and coddles us and leaves us stuck. It comforts us and then leaves us broken, leaves us in this stuck condition. And this can be why the victim mentality can be such a bummer to try and break free from, because you feel seen. You feel validated. You feel understood. For once, someone is comforting you in your pain. And so to let go of this victim mentality means to let go of this false comforter. To let go of someone who is seeing and validating you in your pain. And so when I was looking at the victim mentality and looking at getting free from it, Jesus was inviting me into something deeper. But the temptation to stay was so strong because it's like, I'm being comforted, I'm being coddled. Look, finally someone is validating me. And so, in this journey of inner healing and going after the fivefold ministry of death, the victim mentality is a sticky one, I want to say. To be honest, I sat and I wrestled with this desire to keep the victim mentality. I could be seen as a survivor of sexual abuse. I was a victim and I had a voice and I was being seen and I was being heard. And to hold on to this identity, to hold on to this feeling and this false comforter was very, very tempting. And it felt like I had to let go of all of that to step into what Jesus was inviting me into. I didn't even have an understanding or a grid for what he was inviting me into, but he was highlighting the victim mentality as a liar. He was highlighting the victim mentality as someone who was bringing death to my life. And at the very core of my being, I had decided through and through, no matter what, I want Jesus, and I'm going to choose him to the best of my ability in every circumstance. And so as I was wrestling this out, I was like, it feels so good to stay here. And I was a survivor, and I was these things that the victim mentality was saying. But Jesus had my yes. And so even though I wanted to hold on to this false comforter, I chose to let it go. I chose to surrender it and to step into what Jesus had for me. And so now, today, it's such a different story for my life. And seeing with the blinders of the victim mentality being taken off, I have now been given such a victory in Jesus, such a powerful authority, such healing and wholeness. There is nothing that in me that wants to go back to that. I don't want to go back to the false comforter because I have met and am being comforted by Jesus and the healing and the wholeness that I can have in him. So in the victim mentality, I was stuck in my pain. So I felt seen, but I was stuck in the pain. I wasn't going to be able to get out. And Jesus gave me a way out. And the healing and the wholeness, the perfect peace that I have, the joy, the life, the redemption of the memories, the healing in my body, all of the transformation in my life, absolutely now looking back is worth it. But in the moment when I was looking at the victim mentality, it was so tempting. So here on the other side, I want to tell you, it is worth it to go after this. As comforting as it seems to stay seen and to stay validated in your pain, give Jesus a chance is what I want to encourage you to do. Give Jesus a chance to show you what the healing and the transformation and the victory of Jesus feels like. Because now on the other side, I wouldn't trade it for anything. The choice boils down to being a victim or a victor. Now Jesus, he is the King of Kings. He is the Lord of Lords. He is top G, ultimate victor in all of the universe. And he's the one who I am one spirit with. So all of the victory that Jesus did all the work for, he has now handed to me on the silver platter. saying, here, come be one spirit with me. Everything that I have, you can have. Everything that I have fought and I have worked for and I have built is now being yours, freely given to you. Do you want this? And so as you lean into this, you will find this victory. Like the victory of Jesus is so overwhelming. I wish I could show you the picture that I have of Jesus sitting on the throne, and every knee and all of creation is bowing. In this realm and in every other realm, every knee is bowing. Everyone crying, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. Worthy is his name. The majesty of Jesus. And then he comes and he says, here, do you want to join me in victory? It's such an incredible difference between the victim, powerlessness, I was abused, I'm underneath this thing, broken, poor me, to the victory and the beauty and the healing and the wholeness that has been given to us in Jesus. You see, Jesus, when he was on the earth, he was powerful in everything that he did. A lot of times when people tell the story of the crucifixion, they portray Jesus as a victim. But Jesus was victorious in everything that he did, and nothing happened to him without Jesus powerfully choosing. At the Last Supper, he looked to Judas and he said, do what you must do. When the soldiers came to come get him in Gethsemane, they said, where is Jesus, or who is Jesus? And when Jesus said, I am, there was a burst of power that came out from him and threw everybody back. We don't put that part of the story in The Passion of the Christ or the other movies about the crucifixion. Jesus powerfully executed every moment of that story. Everything he did was thought about and in a powerful place of victory. He was not a victim, and more importantly, he did not partner with a victim mentality, because a victim mentality brings death to us. A victim mentality is not of heaven, and so because Jesus didn't sin, he only partnered with things of life. He only partnered with things of heaven. We know that Jesus was not only not a victim, but he didn't partner with the victim mentality. He powerfully, with the joy set before him, endured everything that he walked through on the earth. Now, some of us might have had things happen to us that we did not powerfully choose, okay? I did not powerfully choose to experience the sexual abuse. That happened to me. But in spite of that happening to me, I can still have wholeness and be walking in a victorious mindset. I can still be whole and be transformed. And now, retrospectively, going back, having healing for all of that. Having Jesus rewrite those memories. I talk about that in the Rewriting Memories video that I have in the Encounters. That Jesus was able to transform even the memories so that all I see is Jesus and all I feel is him. That is the power of the gospel. That he not only can heal and redeem and restore us now, but retroactively going into our past, healing and restoring every area, including our memories. To where now when I look back at the memories of the sexual abuse, all I see is Jesus, and I can get wrecked by the goodness, like genuinely wrecked by God, looking at these memories. How crazy and how powerful is that the gospel is that big and that good. Jesus, I just don't even have words for it. It's just great. So I want to encourage you to go after this, lean into this. It is worth going after in your life, because the transformation, the victory, the goodness that he gives us in replacement of that false comforter and that false validation and that false feeling of being seen, it is so, so worth it. Now, I do want to pause real quick and explain the victim mentality, because we have the common, woe is me, poor me, basically blatant victim mentality. And probably you know someone in your life who is dripping with the obvious blatant victim mentality of poor me, okay? But there is we'll call it a covert victim mentality. And the covert victim mentality is where you're feeling powerless. So you might not walk around either verbally saying or thinking in your head, poor me, woe is me, all of this. But if you find yourself feeling powerlessness and feeling powerless in your circumstances, then that is an area that you're not walking in victory. Now, do we have to have understanding in everything? No. We have pea brains. We know this. We've talked about this. But in the midst of the unknown, I can still have confidence that Jesus has already finished it, that this is going to work out for my good and the good of others, because Jesus promises to bring good from everything, and that Jesus is going to win. I don't care how it's going to shake down and how long it's going to take to shake down, but Jesus is going to win, which means that I am going to win because he has given me this victory. And so in any circumstance, regardless of how bleak it looks, regardless of how futile and how like there's no chance, it doesn't matter because of Jesus' ability to rewrite everything. His ability to be the author and the finisher of our faith. So he's the author, he's writing the story, but he finishes it. He gets the last say. And so we can stand confident in that, regardless of our circumstances, knowing confidently, without the understanding of how, confidently saying, nope, this is going to work out for good. Jesus is going to get the last say. Nothing Satan can do about it. There's nothing that the enemy, there's no circumstance too big that Jesus doesn't get to be the finisher of. And so, if you're feeling like blaming other people for your circumstances, that's another sign of the victim mentality. Or feeling powerless or stuck, those are all signs of the victim mentality. And Jesus is inviting us into victory. So these are our two choices, and this is what I want to dive into an encounter about. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, no, that's not me. I don't need to go on this encounter. And that might be true. But I want to invite you to go on this encounter with me because maybe there's an area of your life that you are feeling powerless in, or an area of your life that you're feeling stuck in. There are so many covert fingers that can trickle in to our life that we don't even realize are there. And so that's the beauty of encounters, because we're just bringing ourselves to the Lord, surrendered to him, saying, hey, is there anything in my life that I'm feeling powerless, or that I'm blaming other people, anything in my life that I'm not walking or in the confidence of your victory, whether I'm seeing it or not? And if so, come and sift my heart. Come and free my heart from anything that is not of you. So if you're ready to go on an encounter regarding the victim mentality, let's dive in. I'm very excited to go after this with you because of the transformation in my life that I've seen, going from the victim to the victor. So first, let's break agreement with lies, and then we get to dive right into the encounter. If you haven't heard of an encounter and this is new to you, please pause this video, and in the description I have the teaching on what encounters is, how we do it, the why behind it, linked into the description. And so you can pause here, go watch that one, and then come back here. So with that, let's break agreement with lies, and then we'll get to dive right in. So repeat after me. I break agreement with the lie that I can't see or hear God. I break agreement with the lie that God is distant and that he doesn't want to talk to me. And I break agreement with the lie that it is hard for me to connect with God and go on an encounter. All right. With that, let's dive right in. I'll have you close your eyes, and we're going to ask Jesus to show us a place where we can talk. So repeat after me. Jesus, will you take me to a new place in heaven where we can talk? And when you see Jesus, I'd like you to greet him in whatever way feels comfortable to you. Jesus, will you show me a picture of what your victory looks like? What does it look like for you to be the King of Kings and Lord of Lords over all? Jesus, will you show me a picture of what it looks like for you to give me your victories and to have victory in my life? Jesus, is there any area of my life where I am partnering with the victim mentality? Any area where I am feeling stuck or powerless in? Jesus, will you show me a picture of what your victory looks like in these areas of my life? If you're ready to go after the victim mentality, then I want to invite you to repeat after me. In the name of Jesus, I break all ties and agreements I've made with this victim mentality. I declare that it is a liar and that it is keeping me stuck. And I powerfully choose to no longer live stuck. In its place, I choose to receive the victory that Jesus has given me. Jesus, how do I live as a victor instead of a victim? How do I live powerfully? Jesus, is there anything else you want to tell me about the victim mentality? Jesus, can I come here anytime and talk with you? I'd like you to thank Jesus for all the healing and all the breakthrough that he just gave you in this encounter. Welcome back. How fun. Well, I am believing that that was one exciting encounter. It's so life-changing to go from a victim to a victor. And in my life, I don't choose to use the words survivor or victim. Those are not my identity. So I don't even like the word abuse because the word abuse has such a strong victim mentality attached to it. But I don't have another word that I've come up with to talk about the sexual abuse that I did experience. So I will say things like, I experienced sexual abuse as a child, but I will not call myself a victim because that is not who I am. I don't call myself a survivor because that is not who I am. Those things are still surviving as like, I just made it by the skin of my teeth. I'm not in thriving. I'm not in abundance. I'm not in wholeness. That's the connotation that survivor gives off, is just this like, just barely made it. But that's not who I am. That's not what Jesus has given me. That's not what Jesus has done in my life. And so walking powerfully, walking with authority, walking in wholeness, walking in the beauty and the love, joy, peace, all the things that God has given us is my inheritance, is who I am, is my identity. And so that is how I identify. But it is important or of value for me to talk about my experiences because my experiences validate my authority to be able to speak to you and share about the victim mentality. I have been through it, and now I'm on the other side of it, and I am whole and I am thriving because of Jesus. And that is also possible for you. Jesus paid a high price for us to be whole and for us to be free. And all he's waiting for is our yes, our willingness to let go of this evangelist of the fivefold ministry of death, to let go of this false comforter, to let go of this false feeling of, I feel seen, I feel validated. If we're willing to let it go and cling onto Jesus and say, all I want is you. All I want is what you have for me and what your truth is. If we're willing to take that step, then it's going to be another beautiful part of our process and journey of transforming our life. Last thing, I just want to remind you that especially with going after the fivefold ministry of death, it most likely will take some repetition because our soul has an autopilot. So that autopilot will kick back in once we get out of the encounter and start doing life again. And the autopilot for our soul is usually to think with the dysfunction and think with the pain. So going on the encounter multiple times to bring it again and again, it slowly will transform the autopilot of our soul. So then the autopilot, when it kicks in, is thinking with victory, is thinking with love, is thinking with joy, is thinking with peace. So be patient in this transformation process. The journey of renewing our mind to transform our life is a marathon, not a sprint. So it works every time. When the autopilot kicks back in, it comes back less strong. It comes back less powerful. So the autopilot for the victim mentality might come back at 95% or 90%. And so keep going on the encounters, renewing the mind, and you will transform your life. I know because I've done this, and I've seen this, and I've seen the power of the gospel, and just how big Jesus really is, and just how good he truly is. We're on a journey of constantly discovering how deep and how wide his love and his goodness is for us. And at the end of Psalms 23, it tells us that his goodness and his tender love is pursuing us every day of our life. It's not just this casual, like it's there if you want it. No, it says that his tender love and his mercies are pursuing us. They're chasing after us every day of our life. Restlessly, God is intentionally pursuing us and offering to us such goodness and such transformation and such love and healing and power and authority. So with that, I'm praying for you. I'm excited to be on this journey with you, and I'll see you next time.